Independent Gazette. We're here with Representative Pashinski. Thank you for being at the League of Women Voters today. This is great. You caught my attention. One of the questions that we were scheduled to ask and we just couldn't get to it was about free and equal elections. In Pennsylvania, the Constitution calls for free and equal elections, and you had mentioned that is one of the things that you're focused on coming up. In the Senate, Senator Folmer has introduced a bill called the Voter Choice Act, and what it does basically is equals the playing field and just makes it free and equal elections. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different avenues that we could go down, but this particular bill focuses on making it equal for other parties to participate in elections. Right now, okay, as an example, a Democrat or Republican in a statewide election needs 2,000 signatures.
Yes.
If you're a Libertarian, if you're Green, if you're an Independent, Occupy Wall Street, I don't care, whatever party you are, you're going to need 60,000 signatures to participate in that election. And that's what this changes. And we're looking for people, and actually, as part of the Independent Gazette, part of the radio show Sanity Check on 94.3 FM, The Talker, and some of the other shows that we're on, we said we're going to interview everybody in Northeast Pennsylvania. We sent everybody a record to see if they would be co-sponsoring a bill. And I guess that's where the question is. Would you be interested? First of all, it's not introduced in the House yet, so we're looking for somebody to introduce a free and equal election or introduce the Voter Choice Act in the House. If we just focused on the issue I just gave you, just to make it free and equal, would you be willing to do that without throwing all the other minutiae into it?
Well, honestly, first I would have to really take a good hard look at what Senator Folmer is trying to do. Free and equal is a great phrase, and I have fought hard to make sure that in Pennsylvania, with some of the legislation that came down that restricted voters from getting their constitutional right, with voter ID and some of the issues that they've had forward, I find it extremely offensive, and I would fight diligently to make sure that they were free and equal. The reason why I'm hesitating, I've learned one thing in Harrisburg.
Right.
There is nothing simple, and when you say free and equal, it sounds great until you read it. So I would have to take a good hard look at it. What I say to people that are upset with or distressed with the two-party system is a lot of people have retreated from both parties because they're disgusted with each and how they're going.
Right.
So therefore, they become independent and they want to try to get their views that way. I have suggested to people like that, you gather your block of people and you then drive one of those parties in that direction.
Right.
Now, the problem is that takes time. We don't, as individuals, especially Americans, we want things quickly. We want things done quickly. I also learned that very, very quickly in Harrisburg. Things that should take only a few minutes does not. It could take years. So I am open to further discussion on this. I'd be happy to meet with you and those that believe that this should be the way we go forward. I think that from a legislative standpoint, as a legislator, I think we should have those open hearings. Let's hear the facts, set it before the public. Let's see what inconsistencies that may be in the election law right now, and if there are things that need to be addressed and changed, I'm certainly up for that.
Well, that's great then. So you stay focused on that. So having a Democrat or Republican getting 2,000 signatures and somebody like myself needing 60,000 signatures, you would say that we need to level the playing field.
I think we should. Let's take a look at the history. How did that come about?
Right.
Because I also have to tell you one other thing. It's easy to condemn the legislators that are in power. It's easy from the citizen standpoint to take a view against them because they only know this much about the issue.
Right.
Remember what I said earlier. When we started discussing these issues, each one of those issues, we could discuss for a week.
Right.
To really vet it properly. So when you get 2 minutes up there to try to explain
healthcare
or pensions
totally
or voter ID,
right.
it's impossible. So the point I want to make to your listeners is that what the average citizen sees government doing or not doing is a tiny pigeonhole of what really occurs. So it's easy for the guy on the outside to say, hey, you got to cut my taxes because, and that sounds good to the rest of the citizens, and elect that guy. So you elect that guy, now when he gets in there, he's faced with the same problems that we have, and now he can't do what he said he could do. So what I'm cautioning your listeners and all of us is that we haven't had that hearing or hearings to fully vet all the reasons why we should change that system. It sounds like it's unfair.
Well,
You have to get 2,000, you have to get 2,000.
60,000,
But
yeah.
you have to get 60,000.
And then we
that's
also
based
have a
upon-
closed primary system, so somebody
Yeah.
that's an independent, we're getting more and more independents all along, are really paying for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party to pick their candidates through a primary system that we can't even participate in. But as I understand, the Voter Choice Act doesn't even address that issue. What it basically addresses is saying that, listen, wait a minute, the way we define parties to make it equal and fair, that's what they're looking for, and so you'd be willing to look at that legislature?
I'm willing to have a hearing on it. I'm willing to listen to all sides of that. But now, when you say equal and fair, be careful with that, because equal and fair might mean, well, the Democrats
different,
have
right.
2 million, the Republicans have 2.5 million, and the independents have 30,000.
Right.
So now you're asking for the same playing field of equality as this group who has 2 million, this group who has 2.5 million, and you only have 30,000.
But once again, I caution you on that also, because you have a closed primary system, and people are forced to get into one party or the other, even though, and then what happens is you get the party apparatchiks that get in there a lot of time. As you know, people that have been around, they're handpicked, and that's where a lot of the frustration comes from.
Absolutely.
Then also, you don't even have the ability, if you have to come up with 60,000 signatures, say, then, and you don't get on a statewide ballot, you're not even a minor party candidate. Those other parties don't even appear on the voter registrations. So when you come, so what's happening is there is a great disparity. People do point that out. Oh, there's 2 million here, there's 2 million there, and there's all. Well, the problem is that if it was actually equal and fair, my deal is this: we've had Coke and Pepsi for so long. Even and maybe it's time for a little 7-Up. Maybe it's time for a little something different.
RC
Cola. And that's one thing. And then also is that the same thing in when we look at the private sector. What do we look at? We look at competition, and there is really no competition in our politics. And I understand it's difficult for somebody that's part of a party. You're looking. The party is power based. Both of them, Republicans and Democrats.
Absolutely.
And it's very difficult for somebody like yourself to come forward and say, wait a minute, I'm going to have to break with this power base because we're going to start sharing power somewhere else. And that's where I see the...
Now, this is the hard part of democracy.
Correct.
This is the sausage
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
Okay?
That's exactly what we're talking
and it's
about.
given, and the wonderful thing about democracy, everybody has a say. Okay?
Right.
It should be equal say. You have that equal say right now. That's why I'm suggesting if we have hearings, open hearings, transparent hearings.
Beautiful.
Let's get the information. Let's get the history. Let's see what we can come up with that may make it fair.
I'm going to hold you on that.
All right.
Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
the
Good to
interview.
be
Have a
with
good day. Bye-bye.